We'll get to. I'll do a quick little bio. Colin gave me his bio real quick. It's small. He didn't give me much. He's sitting in a hotel room because he's a traveling field surveyor. But Colin's got 10 years as a field survey technician. He's a game designer, creator for For the Quest, and he's a Army veteran. So thank you for your service as well, sir. I've been when that went in. I've been chatting with Colin. I don't know. It's been probably 2 or 3 years since you've been working on and developing this, so it's kind of fun to watch this go along. I know Dustin. Oh, Dustin turned his camera off, but Dustin's been helping. They've kind of teamed up over the last year, maybe 14 months or something, it seems like, but working on trying to put this out to the public and keep keep digging into it a little bit more, finding some crowdsource fundings, all of those fun things that you try to do when you get a nice little startup going. But I will turn it over to Colin. He'll kind of go through the background. He's got a bunch of videos and stuff he wants to show, so we'll do some screen sharing here. But I'll turn it over to you, sir. I thank you for your time as always.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Trent. Thank you. Um, I guess, yeah, Dustin and I for the last year or so have been talking on and off, and it got more over, to now. But originally, I had the idea for the Quest. The original incarnation was called Quest Board, but then it became and Quest Board focused heavily on finding section monuments in publicly accessible places so people can go see the country, because as I'm sure all of you know, sometimes section monuments are in the most beautiful place you've ever seen. So that all the adventures I've had up to that point inspired Quest Board. But when I tested Quest Board, all the questions were answered by creating a video game component, and thus it became For the Quest. The same concept of finding section corners, um, for a reason, but the reason had changed. And then Dustin posted his liminal spaces post on Instagram, and that's when we kind of converged because I had also individually came to the liminal space point,
All
but
right,
then I
thank you
saw
for a great
his
Monday.
post,
I'll see you tomorrow.
and we just started working together after that, especially after he showed me Creatures of the Compass. Um, and yeah, Dustin, are you here?
Yep, no, I'm here. I had to turn my camera and mic off for a minute because I haven't eaten today, so I was trying to cram muffins in my face. No one wants to see that. Um, but yep, I'm here. Do you want me to just talk about some of the story stuff, or
Yeah, so after Dustin released Creatures of the Compass, um when we were interacting in the very beginning, Creatures of the Compass basically became the bestiary of the video game because uh once we get going, the regions of the United States will play a huge part in the textures of the dungeons and the creatures you can find and the adventures you can get into for that. But to expand on the lore of the project, Dustin's Dustin's already begun to write a trilogy, kind of tying all the lore, kind of making it all make sense. Excuse me. But yeah, Dustin.
yeah? So I'm gonna start out with a three-part trilogy. The first one is in process. I'm about halfway through the writing phase. The first one's gonna be the Surveyor Saga: Point of Beginning, and it's going to take place. If you've read Creatures of the Compass, it was pretty lighthearted, pretty silly. We made a lot of jokes at the ridiculousness of some of the things that are in there. This one's going to be a little bit of a departure from that. It's going to be meant more for older audiences. It's going to take place during the Jack the Ripper killings. And in this, one of the problems that we had was trying to make the story fantastical while also still being believable. So the setting for this is everything that we have at our disposal for surveyors will make an appearance. Everything from a licensing number will play a role in the storytelling. Um, the equipment, chains, gunter chains, hammers, monuments. Monuments play a huge part of it. And we're going to tie in a lot of the land surveying specific folklore legends. The book is going to open up actually talking with the wrongdoer of Siggenthal, which is in Creatures of the Compass, and it kind of sets the tone for the book. But yeah, we've got everything set up, I think, to a point now where everything makes sense. I'm going to be holding on to some of the books, and the game is going to kind of dictate the pace at which we release the books. So the first one that's going to come out with our with the Kickstarter, there's going to be a special edition of Creatures of the Compass, and I'm recreating it to look like it's specifically Percy Fawcett's book. And if you don't know who Percy Fawcett is, then you should definitely watch The Lost City of Z. Talks about him and Percy Fawcett. During World War One, he was a surveyor sent to South America to retrace a boundary line, and he ends up discovering this city that he calls Z. And it was proof that there was advanced life and advanced civilizations in places that they originally didn't think there would be. And so it talks about him traversing through the jungle and finding this place. And if you know Fawcett, he goes back, finally gets granting to go back and look for the city. And then that was the last we ever hear of him. So this book is going to be a play on his notebook, and there's going to be some personal notes with the existing creatures, and then the tail end there's going to be kind of a mystery as to what happened, but it's going to play into the game, and there's going to be 17 special edition books, and the number is important for the puzzle, but for the 17 people who jump in and get that copy of the book, it's going to be up to you to either share or not share. You don't have to help if you don't want to, but to share your piece of the puzzle with the community, and then everyone can compare notes, and you have to try and figure out exactly what this puzzle is referring to. And we'll be watching in these group chats, and when they think they finally have the community thinks they have the answer to that, then we can progress the story. But as of right now, with the pacing that we have and the storylines that we have a couple years worth of progressive story. And so yeah, there's a ton to go from there. Trying to think if there's anything else that we should share. I get in trouble. I'm trying to share enough of the story so that you can get the idea, but I'm definitely afraid of giving too much away because we get too excited about it, and I don't know how much of the story Colin wants me to share just yet.
You're doing great.
But but yeah, it's trying to set that world up so that it's believable, And one of I think the people who did it best was J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter series. She made it so that it was believable that this alternate world existed parallel to us, and we just didn't know. And playing on, the making it realistic is we're not the surveyors that are hunting monsters aren't hiding. Um, it's just that nobody has any idea that we exist. And I mean, I feel like that's a pretty fair assessment for surveying. If you get stopped in the field, everyone's like, "What's a surveyor? What do you guys do?" So they're not it's not a hidden society. It's just no one really knows we're there. Uh,
I will tell you,
but yeah,
I'm trying to Google as fast as you talk about names and things like that. Uh, your your Piercy Fawcett, I just was doing some stuff on that. I threw a couple things in the chat that's related to that, but yeah.
That
You
one
guys have
was
already
one of my.
lost me both. You've already lost me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not. No, I'm not a sci-fi guy, so that part kind of plays into it, I guess, a little bit. But
Yeah, the Percy Fawcett thing, that was always, I mean, I grew up, Indiana Jones was way before me, but I grew up with the movies, loved it, and so you come across something like his expedition, and it plays right into that. So that was
yeah,
super exciting to me. I wanted to do something with him, but
that's cool.
yeah, we'll see how the community handles the puzzle, and if they knock it out of the park right away, then it's kind of a litmus test of, okay, we have to make these puzzles more difficult, or hey, we should lighten it up because it's been 8 months and no one's made any progress. So,
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll
I
all be
love it.
fun.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
well, we already gave for in that little speech. There's already a huge clue that we haven't given anybody else yet. We've talked to a couple different groups and podcasts, and so if you need a hint, we've already dropped a huge one that'll tie we'll tie it together. So.
George threw in the chat, is this like a surveying version of Lord of the Rings type of
So
journey?
yeah, so yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know if anyone's familiar with Pokemon Go, but the waypoint system is very similar. Um, just a quick rundown before we get into everything kind of off the current topic. Um, you'll have your phone, your phone's GPS. Inside the game, you'll choose your quest. The quest, excuse me, is just the coordinate of what you're trying to find. From there, you can like change what will like fill up the quest, like different subquests inside. So the dungeon or the event is never stale. But anyway, so then you choose your coordinate and then you go there. So in the Sonora Desert, um, northeast of Phoenix, we set our very first our very first waypoint for a very specific monument, and it's like a mile and a half off of away, excuse me, away of the parking lot. So, that's like like an easier one. But like my dream is to have, you have the easy ones, the medium ones, uh, and you'll have people going like hiking the Appalachian Trail. And as they go, they just collect it, collect it for later.
And George, sorry, Colin, cut in.
Not so good.
I think as far as like a storyline goes, it's not really Tolkien-esque. There's different magic system, different world system in place. If we had to do it comparatively to existing media, its closest relative would be The Witcher, and fans of the Supernatural TV series will be right at home too. So I guess our quests and the creatures as they pop up in the book is more contract or as needed based. The main storyline is when surveying was created back in Egyptian ancient Mesopotamia times. They needed somebody that would be like a fair mediator between our world and the others. And since the surveyors were already mediating boundaries and supposed to be impartial, then they figured that we should just handle that too. And I took my appropriate jab at the lawyers in there, right? They're too easily bought, and kings are too loyal to their people. So surveyors made sense because we were already doing it. But long story short, there will be some Tolkien stuff in there because he's influenced, I mean, so much of everything, I think, that you can't do fantasy without some of his stuff, but it's going to be more similar to Witcher. If that's fair, Colin, what do you?
I would
There's
say that,
two very different schools of thought here. I'm very, very pro Witcher school, and Colin's very pro Conan.
well, the Conan stuff is just for the stories I write personally. for me, you know what I mean? But this is I would agree with Dustin, say the general storyline and like grittiness will follow like The Witcher. For as far as gameplay, um, and all of that, it's more like the Elder Scrolls, um, first person, uh, first person role playing game type deal. But you do, I think I misunderstood the initial question. Um, like physically in the real world, you will be going on long journeys, like in, Lord of the Rings. But the story and its grittiness will be like Witcher-esque. And then as far as like the design of the game and the user interface, that is more like the Elder Scrolls games or like a Borderlands games, if we're talking about like the items and equipment that you can get. So it's like a it's multiple things. It's all things at once,
I love it.
multifaceted.
I love it.
There's a
So
bunch in the chat.
yeah, I was gonna say. So one of the questions, can I play without leaving my state?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Got George's in there, but it sounds like we're going to be kind of adding or creating our own part of the quest as we go. And then this is on a cell phone, right? So it's going to be a web app, cell phone app type.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a mobile app, but it's also for your computer.
Okay.
So the way we have it set up is you go there with your phone, you collect something called a dungeon token, and that just goes to your overall account. So you can access the dungeon on your phone, or you can go home, like you're probably hiking. So I don't, we kind of thought about that in the beginning. People probably won't want to play the game right there. They're probably with friends and, doing the social interaction thing. They'll go back home and play it, at the, drinking hot chocolate and hanging out on your couch and just playing a video game after the
Yes.
journey.
What surveyors are notoriously known for drinking their drink of choice, hot chocolate.
Yeah, I
Um,
did chuckle when he said hot chocolate, but with
but yeah,
marshmallows. With
Yeah,
marshmallows.
exactly. The small
Yes,
marshmallow.
it has to be the small one.
so George, yes, you will be contributing. Sort of your own quest. Each surveyor will have their own experience, and that's kind of part of the Creatures of the Compass is supposed to be one person's field notebook. So everyone's field notebook will go, and you'll have different creatures and different experiences. For starters, we're going to kind of have it so that when you encounter a monster in the dungeon, it'll be something that's already in the book, and we will be expanding that later. I'm hoping to do more to that book, but when I did Creatures of the Compass, there was the final count was like 108. Originally, it was like 400 something, and that simply wouldn't fit in a vest pocket, so it had to be drastically reduced. So it's yes, geocaching with a storyline, play without leaving your state. Um,
You can also trade dungeon tokens. So like if something's in Japan, you can trade something from the United States with the Japanese players.
you
Um,
know,
Okay.
and to
we plan to do it in the United States, but like wherever there's survey monuments, like I was talking to someone in Czech Republic, I was talking to someone in Japan, I was talking, South Africa and Australia,
Yeah.
wherever they're surveying, this can go also, which is neat.
Yeah.
this
And
game's to Veronica, it's coming out. We have to. We're in the begging for money stage, and so it's there. Um, but we're going to be getting a Kickstarter soon, and to Seaver, I think the best place to follow this would be Instagram, right,
Instagram,
Colin? Unless
yeah,
you have a different something else. So
no, yeah, no, Instagram at or for.the.quest. Um, that's the best place to follow it.
Okay.
And then yeah, it's coming out soon. We've been working on it for the last few years. Um, and just waves of hiatuses, making the money to do it and investing it and all that jazz. Um,
It's all done during your free time.
Yeah, it's literally all free time. I'm always looking for the 20 the eighth day and the 25th hour,
That's right.
you know?
I'd like Dustin Aaron Leach's comments. Great for you to about some diary stories from the Adirondacks.
Yeah, no, I took a screenshot of that. I'm gonna save that. That's trying to when I was originally looking and doing the research on folklore and stuff, which was kind of another part of the creation for Creatures of the Compass was to make those more accessible. It's incredibly difficult to try and find um, enough stories. There hasn't been any collections made, but I'm slowly working through and adding stuff in. And so if you have any recommendations, please send them my way. So I've worked through Germany and parts of Scandinavia because I can read German. But that's a very, very small piece of the world, and I know that there's a lot more out there. It's just I don't know those languages. So finding things that are translated has been exciting.
That's cool.
Create bald face library lore.
Seaver, I
And
thought about it.
I
I
will.
thought about it.
Oh,
Oh
oh,
my
I
gosh.
can't. I can't use Chat GPT. I'll die on that hill. I'll use it. Chat GPT when you're studying for exams. If you're like, say, for example, Utah, which is court heavy, does fantastic summaries of court cases that you can put in front of them when you print out. But for creative stuff, it's like I refuse to use. I used a little bit for the artwork because there's some things that I just cannot draw. And the biggest one that I fought with, and it was 4 hours I argued with this Chat GPT was over the fur bearing trout in the back. And I just kept asking for it. It's like I need a trout with hair on it. And the thing was like trout don't have hair. And it's like I understand that trout don't have hair, but I need you to do it this one time. And we are just sitting there arguing, bouncing my face off the desk, like, please just do it. And so that one ended up having to like Photoshop little pieces of a million different things together. So I hate that trout. That's the one page when you see that, it's like I hope you know that I hated that entry more than anything else in that book because it was a nightmare to
Oh
try
my
and get that to work. But
God, that's funny. I love it. Uh, well, before you do
if
any
you
more,
need,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, if you guys need any assistance in Canada, France, or French-speaking countries, you got your volunteer right here.
Ah.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Add me on Instagram and send me a message. And I do have questions on how the monumentation is in other countries.
That's awesome. What before you got? I know you got some screen shares and some videos and certain things like that, but any more any more background? Anything else you want to add before you kind of dig into that, Colin?
Dustin, do you have anything else before I go?
uh, I don't know how much into the story we want to go. I talked about the monuments. Do we want to get into the magic and sigil system, or you want to just keep it big swipes?
Big swipes. Big swipes.
we're
Okay.
at, we're at 50
All
we're at
right.
50,000 feet right now.
Yeah. We're yeah. So we're trying to dial it in. I'm going to try. I was hoping to have the book out for holiday season. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. I've rewritten this book. I'm probably into the double digits at this point. I just keep, it's like I want to add this and I want to change this. Um, I want to make sure that it's done right, and I'll pass it off so you can explain the details. But that's going to be one of our big things is we understand we're never going to be wealthy from this game. We're doing it because we love it, and it's a way to combine kind of everything that we enjoy doing. And so if there's times where it's like, oh, you promised this exact deadline, the book by Christmas, and we're not there, it's because we're trying to make sure that everything's done right before we kick it out. Um,
Yeah, no,
just
of
like
course.
maps, I don't want to turn out a half-assed survey. I don't want to turn out a half-assed book, and
Yeah.
Colin doesn't want to do a half-assed game. So we're gonna try and make sure everything's right and perfect, and really hoping that it's something that even though this isn't actually what we do every day, you can play this game with, your kids or your family, and it at least opens up a conversation to what we actually do.
Yeah.
And they can at least enjoy that going outside and adventuring part.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I was gonna say. It's still a public awareness thing, right? No matter what. In the end, I mean that's the great part about this whole thing. What have you changed the title of your second book to double digit times yet? Or do we know that? Can we at least put
now,
that out there?
yeah, so the first three books will be I don't know if I want to give away the well, I'll give away the third one.
Let's just
So
go
the
to the
first
second.
one will be first one's going to be Point of Beginning.
Oh, okay.
The second one's going to be Along the Line, and then our final will be Point of Terminus.
All right.
And we've opened it up. There's uh let's see, any mysteries about there is one oh, that's actually an idea. I haven't explored that, but there's there's definitely parallel. I'm screenshotting that too. That was great.
That
Um,
is so hold on, Justin, for those online that Dustin's laughing at. Any mysteries in a story about parallel worlds, like two people trying to meet but unable to because they're navigating in two different datums.
I will expand on once Dustin's done. I will expound on that because that's really funny.
It is funny. It's kind of like
yeah,
the Nat 83 to 2039 datum that's going to come out. I mean the 22 datum in
we we do have there will be a surveyor in the book that can kind of world and time hop. Um, and I'm not. It's one of those that's when you start talking about time hopping and parallel dimensions, especially right now, everyone's pretty fatigued with the multiverse stuff. I think Marvel's pretty much done that one to death. But there definitely is going to be a little bit of that. Um, and generally, I mean, I guess the whole reason for this is that there's these pacts between our world and the other world, and there's specific creatures that want to reside in our world, and that kind of plays into the Irish mythology and folklore that the fairies would rather be here than in their world. Um, so some of that does play in. There's a piece of that, but I didn't think of the datum thing is a really, really good addition. So,
So let me expound on that.
yeah.
So For the Quest is the entire story of For the Quest is about parallel worlds. So the public land survey system, because it's so intricately woven across a swath of actual terrain, it has a link between our world and the world where all the trouble's coming from. So nice. And then Dustin's a lot, let me expound on Dustin's role a little bit. So the one of the central ideas is that people from around the United States, artists, 3D artists, musicians, etc., and including the history of the United States and specifically regionally based. We want a different experience everywhere in the United States. We're a large enough country to show it off. And in my opinion, really what inspired this part specifically is not many people know what our country looks like. And it's gorgeous. So Dustin, because he is well versed in the history of the country, in the creatures that we're adding into the game, he's like the lore master of the game. In fact, that's technically speaking, contractually his working title. So I'm the game designer. Dustin is the world designer. There's a specific word for it. It's escaping me right now, but he's the world builder and like the history buff, and that's his larger role in the game.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's enough, and I'm still talking to some other people, but it was wild to me. Tried to introduce more native lore into the book as much as I can and keep their original names. And it was wild to me that we spent so much time in our high school classes talking about Greek myth and virtually nothing to completely nothing about Native American myth. There's some, I mean, really cool stories. So I don't know, and it's probably blasphemy from a comparative religions or mythology point, but I am so sick of Greek and Roman myths. They're just bland and just detestable characters. But the the native stuff's really cool. So it's like we want to try and keep the localized myths and creatures in their proper zones. So there's a ton we can do with just the legends and monsters alone. But we have so much more like stored up that progresses the actual land surveying storyline and what you'll do with record books and yeah, I'm gonna get into trouble. You need to cut me off. Um,
Nah, you
but we
haven't
can talk about the
all the
mechanics.
mechanics, yeah. All the
I'm, I,
you nothing that, reveals anything, man. You're good. You're good. You've been doing great. But
got
yeah,
gotten close a couple times, but yeah, the books will set it up. We've got everything set up at least for the foothold stuff, and I've got the first three chapters that I'd like to try and release PDF demo, and people can at least read those because those at this point I've told myself there's no more editing to those. We're done. I need to release it because I can edit this until I die. But we need to just tie in and commit to a story. So I'll have those. I just don't know how to distribute them. But if you message me on Instagram, then I'm more than happy to just email them to your personal emails, and you can read the first three chapters, and that opens it up. It explains the surveyor's role a little more, and then it starts to set up the main story arc. So you can at least see that and go, "Ooh, wow, this guy is just a god awful writer," or "I'm really interested to see the book." So totally up to you, but I'd love to hear feedback as well.
Dustin, not everybody. Obviously, there's people who are going to watch this later, so give away your Instagram so that they can message you.
Yeah, yes, it is the underscore superstitious underscore surveyor, and that's my account. And I'll be posting updates for the quest as well as the Surveyor Saga. And we do have plans for spin-offs of that saga too. I mean, there's a whole universe that we can play with. So I'm gonna boogie. I've got a 4-year-old on vacation, and I promised him ice cream.
There
So
you go.
I'll pass it off to Colin and talk about the mechanics.
There you go.
See you guys.
later, Dustin.
Later, Dustin. Thanks.
Cool. So I guess let's get into the thick of what, For the Quest is
Yeah.
and cover some stuff. Uh so the before that, I think what a lot of people are figuring out now is that there needs to be an acquisition of new media for any profession that wants to grow. And Dustin and I met, not randomly, but as random as you can do on the internet. Um, and we both were creating media, and there's other creators now and really putting stuff out, whether it's entertainment or educational. So let me just push people to always, kind of jump on new media before we go into this because it's been super duper fun so far. So yeah, For the Quest is here. Excuse me. For the Quest is a first person GPS role playing game. And like we mentioned before, we do play most of the time on your mobile device, but you can bring it to, your Mac or your PC and, play like that. And what really inspired me to make that, or begin to create it, was the Quest board, and to show people our country, show people publicly accessible section monuments and stuff, stuff like that. Another surveyor hooked me up with our lead developer, Tyler. He lives in Calgary, and he's basically done he's the main coder of the game. And he's done, just throwing his name out there for a second, because all props to Tyler. That guy, I just want to give props as we go on, so y'all can understand, there's several people doing this. It's not, I'm literally just the designer, and up to this point, the major donor. So yeah, Trent, if y'all don't mind, I have a few videos to show you where the game is at, or excuse me, where the game began, and then where it's at currently. It's like 7 minutes of, several videos. So I'm just going to screen share, and then I'll show you a little funny promotion I was doing for another thing. All right. All right, let me know. Some of these may not have sound, just so you know. A few definitely do. Some were literally just screen grabs from a phone. So can everyone see this?
Yep. Yeah, this is the one they have no sound on.
So this is like the first video I ever took of For the Quest. All the dungeons are procedurally generated. So every single time you go into a dungeon, it's brand new. It's a different seed. So, hours of exploration, or just, running and getting stuff. My first idea was have 2-dimensional guys in it for the main, non-playing characters and stuff. But you'll see that that's changed. So this was probably, Trent, would you say like almost 3 years ago?
I would say, yeah, at least, yeah.
This was like one of the first things I sent you.
Yep.
So that was without any map. There was no map. There was no GPS component yet, because we had to build the bare bones. So I would say that's like 2023. And sorry for the size of this one. So, I apologize for it. But you'll see, we still have the spoon and all of that. But at this point, the dungeons had gotten, the character changed, because I was still trying to get there, you know what I mean? Get the right compositor, the right build up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The right NPCs to use, and the right textures for them. But it's basically the same.
Jerry said, who's the bad guys?
So
he said jokingly, lawyers.
They can be. I mean,
Yes.
But so the bad guy. Oh well, in the proper game, the connection to that other plane, that other parallel world, has unleashed, like monsters through the portals, which appear above the section monuments. And once we get more into it, that'll be explained. But so before we watch this, because this shows the GPS and the map aspect. There's an augmented reality component. So you're going to the section monuments to access the dungeons, and the section monuments are basically portals where they're all coming in, and you have to go into to do your quests. So sorry, There's just generic music. We're just testing, music. So at this point, our UI had changed. Maybe this is like 18, 20 months in. You'll notice that the UI is completely different. We've progressed to the point where we have inventories, we have procedurally generating weapons and procedurally generated dungeons. You can see, sorry for that. That was surprising. So it's great.
Are you able to zoom in a bit more? Because it's kind of way zoomed out right now.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's a small phone, recording, and I don't know if I don't have a way to zoom in. But there's another. Don't worry, there's another one that shows. Here, let's skip. So.
I was gonna say you can go to like the full screen bottom right corner there. You can do that once you get in there.
So this is there we go. Did that turn down for y'all too?
Yep.
Awesome. So this is the current version of For the Quest. And you won't miss anything from the last video because it's all contained here as well. So on the left side, excuse me. So on the left side, you have your quest choices, like I previously mentioned. So this is after the Sonoma Monument. So you have, Cedar City, Utah. There's one there. The Casino del Sol. There's one there, and Rockland. So that's where you would choose your quest. And at this point in the game, we have not only the new UI working, but we have these screens where you can view your map, browse your quests, see what you've chosen to go after, player info, inventory, and all of that. This is the updated. So this is the updated map, GPS map, which I'm pretty stoked about. So we can get a mildly topographic map on the GPS, which will probably help with more, with harder terrain. But you can see, you can ignore the Bean Man with the cowboy hat on. That was just what was chosen. But this is basically the map that the players will play on. In the alpha release, and then if we update it after that, it'll probably change with our own assets. So this is, you've gotten to the section monument, you've played a mini game to access the dungeon. And I guess you've chosen on your phone to go into the dungeon. And the creatures have changed. The weapons are modular at this point, fully modular, so they can change in maybe 3 or 4 parts, which allows for millions of combinations of weapons. We have an armor system. You have your the inventory will grow, but the bones are there. Now we just have to put textures on top. So, we can update that part of the user interface. And as y'all are watching, so when you get up to, so while the player is on the journey to go or to get to the section monument, they'll face geospatial mini games, especially once they get up to the dungeon entrance itself. And we have about 7 games right now, and it's basic geography, basic map skills and navigation, and then some things that people do in the field, where one of the mini games is basic translation and rotation, where the player won't know that they're doing what we would call translation and rotation, but the player will have a mini game where they're setting polygons up or polylines up and rotating it in accurately, and that will allow them to access these dungeons. And that's moving the survey component from the real world as you're approaching the section monument into stepping halfway into the digital world. So now you're not only approaching the survey related monuments, but now the player will be actively engaging in survey related tasks. And then as the mini, you can choose, when you choose the section monument, you get there, you're starting to play the mini game, you can choose several levels of difficulty. So let's say the basic, just dots to dots, just translating and rotating. Level 1, easy, children can do it. As the games progress, players will be involved in using survey notes, not NGS notes, excuse me, but actual surveyor notes to get to where they need to be. And that'll be for the higher level difficulty dungeons. And just a small note on that I want to point out is, in my mind, this will be a bottleneck for interest in the survey profession and career, because the people who play this, and there are millions of gamers, billions of gamers across the world, but for the United States specifically, we have our younger generations, my generation included, play video games a ton, more than me now. I have like 4 kids. I have business, you know what I mean? I'm always conducting business in some aspect, but there are a lot of people who not only not heard about surveying, but they're just trapped inside with nothing to do. So if they choose to play for the quest, eventually, one of our goals is to have an outreach for the players to be positioned in companies as they come and as they show interest, which in itself is a level of protection for the industry, because, and excuse me if, I'm, talking about any, close friends or anything, but we've all met, like, let's just say the field surveyors or the licensed surveyors. Let's just say field surveyors who are less than interested in doing their work. It's just work. It's not a passion, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. But, I'm making a video game about surveying. That's how much I like it. That's how much I enjoy going through the movements and acting as a land surveyor. That, so we can bottleneck these people. The engagement's already there. They've already shown the interest. So one of my big hopes is this will also be a positive outreach for people, not just kids, but up through the ages of people who are interested. So yeah, honestly, that's one of my big goals
Yeah, exactly. It's a good one.
I have one more longer video, and it does a much better job to explain everything. It's a little bit promotional, so forgive me, but it does the best job. I made it a few years ago when I lived in when I was in Florida. Um, and it will probably be what we use in our Kickstarter campaign. So so it's about 4 minutes long. So hello everyone. My name is Colin Sellers and I'm the
Yeah,
founder of Adventurology. And for the last year,
a
we've
little higher.
named For the Quest with the help of these portals that have been showing up at section corners all around the United States. Is that good?
Yep.
Come in and see what we've created. And you're going to need this. So that's the procedurally generated dungeon from the top view. All right, now that we're in the dungeon, you got your spoon, got your shield, ready to go. Jump in a little bit. For the Quest is a first-person GPS RPG utilizing biometric fitness gear where the player travels to locations, section corners, in the real world to gain dungeon tokens to access our digital game layer, which is a traditional first-person dungeon crawl with procedurally generated dungeons, as you can see in the video. In the real world, the public land survey system divides each state into however many mile-by-mile squares. Many of these are freely to be found in national and state parks. Getting to these section monuments is the basis of the reality game layer. Action and adventure is the entire goal of For the Quest. For the Quest is a surveying game and a GPS RPG meant for kids, young adults, and adults. Everyone. Ideally, families and groups will engage with the quests to go out and find dungeons using research materials provided by Adventurology from the USGS and probably a few county clerks. But for kids, the goal will be to get to the quest, find loot, and slay monsters. All right. So that was it. Now it's time to tell y'all what we are planning to do with For the Quest over the next year. And don't worry about the portals. They end up closing by themselves. Just so everyone knows, that website URL is no longer good. I had to transfer our website page to be our server domain. So that's no longer in use yet. So it's basically For the Quest. And we got it to the point where we can release it to Kickstarter, get it, hopefully get it funded, and then release here shortly. Our last update was all about combat and mechanics like that. So it's progressing really well, Trent.
It is. I like it. That's good stuff. In the chat, why the spoon? Why is
Oh,
it the weapon of choice?
so the spoon. Oh, let me stop. So the spoon was literally just the default item, and we weren't at that point interested. We're not looking to impress anybody. We were just looking to test the mechanics of the program and what we can do, and work on like missile objects going through, going forth and stuff like that. I just decided to play on it because I thought it was funny.
All right. Eventually, it'll be something else.
Yeah. So the in the current one, you saw the different sword. You can switch it, you pick up loot, switches, you found an axe, you can equip that. So the in that video, the um the video of the play was a little outdated. Now we have modular weapons that change, similar to like the game Borderlands or Diablo, like that.
Nice. There, Aaron says the plumb bob of choice should be the plumb bob of choice. Another one was how do you pick which section corners to use? Or that
All right. So for the section corners, a lot I found. Then there are other, my hope is to contact other surveyors who have, like, hey, we access this monument publicly without having to cross any private land, and put those in. So it's kind of like a double check. So someone has to be there, or excuse me, someone had to have physically been to the location and can guarantee that, it's
Without
accessible that way.
Yeah.
And between like apps like Landglide and Terrain Navigator Pro, you can always check also as your second check on that information.
Very cool. You said follow along on the Instagram. I was thinking, I guess that's where you probably put your your Kickstarter as well. I know you had sent me a
Yeah.
you had sent me a QR code a few years ago for donations and things like that. I don't know if any of that stuff's still alive or not, but
No, that's old. So
okay.
on my Instagram, Conan the Surveyor, and I think on for.the.quest, there's a link to go donate.
Okay.
And then here shortly, once I get a few things out, we have shirts.
Oh yeah, you were showing you had your shirts there while you were pulling that back up. What's the first round of cost? Like how much are we talking
As
about?
far as
To just try
like
to get
monthly
this.
expenditures.
No, just
Oh.
your Kickstarter value and what you're trying to accomplish, I guess.
So for the Kickstarter, we're going to go for like 15,000.
Okay.
Um, so around 27,000's already been put in the game. And I think like 15,000, if people like it on Kickstarter, they can go beyond 15,000. And that'll get us to the point where we can release the game a few months after that campaign ends.
Okay. Nice. You had your shirts. Did you want to show your shirt?
Oh yeah. These aren't for sale yet,
All right.
but these are just some things I've been kicking around. Like that's a little adventurous surveyor, man.
You're gotta share your screen.
Oh, sorry everybody.
On
Forgot
your side.
there we go. So it's just the game logo on this one.
Yep.
Super simple. And then this guy's just a adventurous running surveyor guy going to do something.
Pixelated.
Yeah, well, yeah. So this was an inspiration of another shirt I have, and so the inspiration came from an old Prince of Persia T-shirt I have, and it's getting so old and like ratty. I basically can't wear it. I have to put it behind some glass at some point. And I just did another one in the same style. Just to push the media.
Very cool. Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, obviously, since we started a couple of years ago to where you are now, it's been fun, and then pretty much out of your own pocket to get to this point is impressive as well. So it's hopefully we can get you some bigger supporters, and we'll keep following along, keep following with the journey. I know Dustin getting involved in kind of adding the book and the storyline to it. That's going to be fun to follow as well. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
that'll be a lot of fun.
I got to read the first 3 chapters, so I recommend just hitting him up
All
and
right,
just, you know,
there you go.
giving it a little read.
I did throw in the chat his other one, creatures. What was it? Creatures for the Compass. Creatures of the
Creatures of the
Compass.
Compass. Yeah.
So
That's a fun read also, especially for kids. Like
Yeah.
my kids have stolen it from me and I don't know where it's at.
there you go. There you go. I guess what Dustin didn't say. So the proceeds from this book go to a nonprofit that Dustin had started as well. So,
The Caritas community.
yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Which helps foster kids, everyone. So, you know,
correct. Yep,
it's a good deed.
it is a good deed. Yep. So, questions? Who's got some questions? Again, I'm not a sci-fi guy, but I will do anything I can do to support you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I love that. So,
It's been fun though, man. It's just
oh
it's
yeah,
been a fun little undertaking. Super
absolutely.
stressful sometimes, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, it was definitely something different, but it's a passion. It's a passion of surveying. It's going to bring a public awareness to the profession. So that's why I wanted to have Colin and Dustin on, kind of chat about it, and we'll do another follow up hopefully after. Well, I'll certainly when you get your Kickstarter going, I'll push that out, of course, but we can do a follow up hopefully next summer.
Awesome.
Push
Yeah,
it,
no.
push you along faster.
Yeah, hopefully by then everything will be down pat and beta tested and sent up.
All right. I love it. Well, if nobody has any questions, it's great stuff. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Of course, guys. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.